Most MMOs age like milk. Guild Wars 2, it still feels alive, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason I keep coming back to Guild Wars 2, and I don't think it's just nostalgia. A lot of MMOs feel dated after a few years, or they just end up dying. There's only two real MMOs that exist in today's real world: World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy. I would say old school RuneScape, but I feel like that is on its whole different level. But most of these MMOs, they have the same issues. The systems end up being over complicated, the combat starts to feel stiff or stale, and the world feels like a checklist, really, instead of a place. It doesn't really feel like anything worth diving into. But even in 2026, Guild Wars 2 still feels, how do I say, different. And I've been trying to figure out why. So in this video, I want to talk about what still makes this game stand out and why it doesn't feel like a typical MMO even after a decade of this game still going on. The first thing is the combat. Guild Wars 2's combat doesn't feel locked in place like every other MMO right now. Out of the big three, the other two really just have you sitting in one spot as you just take down an enemy. Here, you're not just standing still, cycling through the same abilities over and over and over again, and then moving to the next one and doing the same thing over and over. You're moving, you're dodging, you're worrying about your positioning. That dodge mechanic alone changes everything. It makes the fights feel more active instead of just rotations and rotations. And even outside of high-end content, you feel that fluidity constantly. There's also something about the build flexibility that makes the game feel a whole lot less rigid. You're not forced into one narrow role. You get to experiment. I find myself looking up builds and I'm wanting to try every single one of them. And I don't even know which one I want to fully dive into. I kind of just have to pick one and try it out and see if I even like it. So even if you're not min-maxing, you end up feeling effective. No matter what, you don't even need a build. You can come up with your own build and it's still gonna work. It's whatever weapons you want to use. And the combat just feels so accessible and fun without feeling shallow and boring. And in today's society, that's pretty rare. Now, another big thing is the open world. In a lot of MMOs, the world feels like something you kind of just pass through. You just look at the backgrounds, you're like, oh, that's a cool mountain, or like, oh, I'm in the swamp, or hey, this is the beach area. That's pretty cool. This is the coast. In Guild Wars 2, it feels like something that's happening around you. There's people running up and down on their mounts or just running normally. Meta events, the world bosses, entire maps just working together to seamlessly complete an objective. You see people lounging on their little beach chairs and certain sections. You see people just fishing and even talking in the map chat. Just the whole community just really is so laid back but so together at the same time. You never have to form or just join just a group to feel like you're part of something big, which is huge because a lot of people, I feel like whenever they play MMOs, they just play by themselves. They're solo players. A lot of people never talk to a lot of other people. They don't join a guild and try to make friends. They don't sit there and talk in say chat. The fact that they're able to experience a living world without actually having to even interact with someone formally, it works so well. And all you have to do is just show up. And then suddenly 40 other players are just there too, doing the same thing. It just feels like everyone is working together to just accomplish a common task. And it's a subtle design choice that really just changes the entire tone of the game. When Path of Fire came out, the mount system completely redefined movement. It really did. They aren't just speed boosts. Each mount has its own weight, its own purpose, its own identity. You have the Raptor. Yeah, it moves fast, it turns okay, but you can feel how heavy he is whenever he jumps, whenever he goes to make a turn. You got to drift a little bit if you're trying to move. It's not just an instant thing like you would expect in World of Warcraft where you can just go left and it goes left. No, it's some weight to him. You have the roller beetle whose purpose is to go really fast, and there's a literal ability that the beetle has that drifts you. And then you have the sky scale. It literally is the flying mount of the game. And while I do not have it yet, and I am trying to obtain it, it is a very long and gruesome process. I am eager to see how that one feels, but it has its own purpose. It's got its own identity. And on top of that, you have the skimmer, the purpose of it can literally just fly over water. That in itself is amazing because none of the other mounts allow you to do that. You'd have to unmount and swim normally. And before Path of Fire, you had to just swim since mounts didn't exist. And yeah, you travel faster, but you traverse these landscapes completely differently. You're able to get places that you normally would never been able to get. It changed everything. And because of that, the world design actually just supports its verticality and the exploration of going to look around. And with Heart of Thorns, they practically focused on the idea of what does vertical maps look like. That was their goal. And because they were able to put their noses down and figure out a good way to experiment with verticality, they were able to follow it up with mounts and how to properly use them. It's almost like it was intentional to a certain degree. And that's something I feel like most MMOs never really solve, a proper way of being able to handle mounts and make them feel like they're more than just, hey, let me go faster from point A to point B. You have to intentionally choose which mounts you want to use. Like the Springer, you can use that to get in places that would normally take you an extra, 15-20 minutes to sit there and run around the entire mountain to find that one path that allows you to get up there. No, it just works because they took the effort and the time to really figure out how to use these mounts effectively and give you the tools to really get you to think and to at least have fun. Now, the horizontal progression in this game, it just feels so respectful. It's one of the biggest differences in progression since most MMOs, they use a linear progression line. But Guild Wars 2 doesn't constantly invalidate your effort. If you gear up today, it's going to be relevant tomorrow. It's going to be relevant a year from now, 2 years from now. It's not going to force you on that treadmill of running and running and running just to catch up with everyone else on each patch. And for some players, yes, it's going to feel less intense because you log in and be like, oh, I need to get the new gear. Oh boy, I need to become better and stronger. No. For others, it's freeing knowing that you can leave for months, come back, and not feel like you're being left behind. And that just makes this game feel stable instead of just completely exhausting, making you never want to pick up the game again knowing, well, I'm already behind, what's the point? This is why the horizontal progression just feels so respectful. Now, when it comes to the community, this one's kind of harder to really nail, but it matters the most. The game tends to attract players who aren't obsessed with gatekeeping. There's less pressure to be perfect. The room is just to play. It doesn't mean there's no competitive scene because there is one. PvP is strong and alive. There's tournaments that keep going, but the general tone just feels so much more relaxed and laid back. And that affects how the entire game feels from moment to moment. So why this all still matters, why does Guild Wars 2 still feel different? It's because it doesn't pressure you. It doesn't demand a daily obligation. It doesn't punish you for stepping away. It lets you exist in your own world outside of gaming and allows you to just come back and do it at your own pace. No pressure. And in 2026, that design philosophy feels rare with Where Winds Meet comes out and World of Warcraft and all of these other games where you feel like you're getting that fear of missing out because you're not logging in. And in Guild Wars 2, it just clicks that you can just come back and pick up exactly where you left off. And in fact, you might come back and there might be even more things for you to do depending on where the living story is at. Is there more things for you to do? But it never takes away anything at the same time. And that's why I still log in to this day. Not because I have to, but because I want to.